Yeah, I'm making big moves, big moves, big moves, big moves. Yeah, big moves, big moves, big moves, big moves. Yeah, I'm really that guy. Yo, I ain't no small fry. If you wanna get it done.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another production of the Cross Platform Baseball League. It's another weekly roundup coming at you in the form of week 3 here in season 15. Myself, Dwayne, coming at you in the booth with me once again for this roundup. It is Triple A's aficionado, Mystery Man. How you doing tonight, Mystery Man?
Really good, man. I mean, it's been these last couple weeks have been so crazy. The upsets, the splits. It feels like if you don't if you can do better than a split, like you almost have to go to Disneyland at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. The sweeps have been fewer and far between this season among all three leagues, really, than I feel like we've seen in the past. I'm sure Wishbone will have some numbers for us down the road to calculate up on that, but uh, as all the results come in, it's just been split after split after split. So many surprising results, so much parity, especially in the AAA with all those games that are being played, all those different players being involved, and yeah, it gives us a ton of content to get to go over here on Nights Night tonight. So without further ado, very excited to jump into our AA rankings. Let's not waste any time. Starting us off at the bottom here of AA, it's Brandini, Joey, and the Diamond Hogs and Punt Vanderlift following us, starting us off.
Yeah. So the Bunnies played against Punt, and they did a really lopsided both way split, which is kind of perfect. Then the Bunnies kind of parlayed that into a win against Bald Baseball Dad. So nice to see Joey kind of get a little bit of momentum there. And then Brandini had a couple losses against the Wizards, but it still looks like a player that could definitely rip off a game here and there.
The overall quiet from Brandini, but Joey and Punt Vanderlift definitely putting their work in, definitely grinding to try and get those results and turn things around in a positive direction towards what we believe will be, I think, a round robin in the AA. Well, they'll still have an opportunity to kind of turn things around, make a name for themselves. So excited to see what more they can bring. Excited to see the uptick in wins there for Joey. We'll move on up to 10, 11, and 12 here. You got White Meat and his Tropics, followed by Noogle the Noble and AFC Canton and Baseball Dad and Stranger Things. All players that have, as of late, had some pretty tight results, some pretty good results. Noogle especially, I think, on the upswing. Surprising to see him stay at 11.
Yeah, I can guarantee you I didn't have him at 11, but yeah, Noogle has kind of been hot lately. Played the Mythosaurs really, really well, despite a heartbreaking comeback from the Myths last week. And I think Noogle is fairly new to the game. I could be wrong, but first season in the XBL and appears to be gathering momentum. And then White Meat is kind of streaky, but has played some really good games. I wouldn't necessarily want to face White Meat in the playoffs. Those Tropics can definitely play at times.
Yeah, he's played a lot of close games. You can see in that 8-9 record, and he's only really 1.5 points removed in his runs scored and runs allowed. That's how you know that's a close game player you have on your hands. Same deal for Noogle, really, and he's only at 5 and 7. So those two players, they could really kind of tip the scale and move into that upper half direction in this AA should things continue to go their way. Baseball Dad recently, still tough results, trying to get off the schneid. Looking forward to him getting off of that because he's got a great positive attitude, making a lot of strides, just overall jumping into the PvP community here. So just a nice losing streak he's going to want to break. Move on up to 7, 8, and 8, no 9. We got a tie at 8 this week. Snowbird and the Black Roses at 7, dropping from number 6. Then you got Vibraphone in the 6-7 not making any movement, and the Mythosaurus tying up with him, moving down from 7th.
Yeah, just the fact that the Mythosaurs are down at 8 is kind of striking. Has a lot of talent. Can probably play with pretty much anybody when on his game. Vibraphone, very streaky, has had some very good recent wins. It's going to be curious to see if Vibraphone can turn the corner and really make some of these people sweat. And then Roses have taken some bizarre losses lately, but continue to hit like gangbusters when things start to click. So Roses, regardless of the rank, are going to be extremely dangerous in the playoffs, even if just based on offense.
Yeah, there's something to note there in the batting average and the runs scored disparity for Snowbird. I mean, it's amazing batting 288. You can score 10.63 runs per 9. So, really interesting trend. We'll see what direction that kind of takes Snowbird as things get tighter and tighter in this AA as we get down the stretch. Everyone here on this list right now on 11 victories. Really, really close group. We'll move on to 4, 5, and 6. This is Runner, No Swad, and Sondko. All players that definitely, I think, deserving their spots. Sondko especially making a nice jump here. Showing his stuff. He's at 14-8, playing Von Acing quality on the mound and just keeping games close. No Swad still scoring tons. I believe on a vacation as of late, so had some early results in week 3. And then Runner been quiet. Looking forward to more from them.
Yeah, I think Sondko kind of reminds me of Diesel in the fact that I don't think he cares if the game is low scoring or if he scores 2 runs. He's going to put it all on the line, and his pitching is going to carry him. And there was a rash of 1-run victories from Sondko just recently. So, I didn't really want to put Sondko up toward the top, and maybe he doesn't deserve it now, but I wouldn't want to play Sondko in the playoffs unless I was really confident in my offense. The Jawas just are really talented. I think the Jawas haven't really played that well lately, but I have a lot of confidence in the Jawas. And then the Envoy, it's all offense. It's Snowbird 2.0, can really put up runs. It's really just the age-old question of can you at least hold the other team reasonable, and unfortunately far too often not able to do that, but still a really powerful team.
Yeah, a couple of hitters here as far as No Swat and Runner goes, and then Sondko, just like we've said already, is showing us stuff. 2-0 against Joey, 2-0 against the Mythics, and 2-0 against Baseball Dad this week, just losing to No Swat, who's right above him. So interesting trends for him. Looking forward to seeing where that takes him. And here's the top of our AA. This AA, when we're talking about the players we just talked about and having 3 above them, you wonder who it's going to be, but it's been these 3 all season. It's Burning Ice, God's Unicorn, and M. Barry. A tie at 1, though, this week. God's Unicorn getting a lot of love.
Yeah, well deserved. Unicorn is playing fantastic ball, has shown. If you look at Unicorn playing against some of the upper league players, Unicorn can hold his own. And Unicorn actually does have bat speed. So Unicorn will be in AAA next season, I think, without question. Burning Ice really playing well. The pitching number is just really absurd. Really pitching well, despite the fact that has enough offensive talent to run over a lot of these players regardless. So you got to wonder. That's another AAA type player. And I think we're starting to sleep a little bit on M. Barry. Does need to get the pitching, I think, shored up a little bit to go for a championship here. But I think when you look at the runs scored, it's hard to make the case that anybody has more firepower than the Wizards.
Yeah, the Wizards can definitely slam it. It's just going to be a matter of if we can put a lid on these top players when it comes to, series time and a best of 5 and a best of 7. That's where it's going to get interesting. So, really a lot of talent here at the top of the AA, as you said. A lot of AAA caliber players here now that this season's kind of matured. So looking forward to seeing them, continue to just have greater and broader XBL careers, and looking forward to that first AA playoff run for all these players. Really good group we have here in the AA right now. As we move on up to AAA's power rankings this week. Starting us off at the bottom, we have the Tyrannix and Dynasty. We haven't seen much out of him recently. A few losses this week, followed up by Blue Panther, and the Flamingos just off to a really rough offensive start this season. And then Bus and the Cuddly Otters over here at rank number, it says rank 24. Are we missing 2 spots? Sorry.
Might be some ties or something. Maybe
Yeah, there could be some ties. Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, I got a little confused. So Bus having a bit of a better week offensively, but still down here at number 24.
Yeah, Bus had a hot run where he won 3 games in a row and not against chumps. Not that there's any chumps in AAA, but yeah, but Bus has kind of been hot. Was really, really tough against me. Seems to be playing better baseball. And definitely you can't let him get momentum. So the Cuddly Otters, a spoiler, not going to probably be in the playoffs depending on what the format is. But regardless, somebody you don't really count on beating. And then Flamingos have been not very active. Lost to the Megafauna, which there's no shame in that. And then Dynasty... Dynasty has actually just had a run of 4 one-run losses. And, you know, on the surface you say, oh, too bad, that's tough. But this is a first-year player playing AAA, doesn't have a lot of PvP, and has 4 one-run losses in a row in a brutal field. So the Tyrannics have nothing but the future is bright in front of them.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to more out of Dynasty. Showed a lot of promise in that match of the week earlier on versus you that we got to watch him in. And then, yeah, good week. I think starting up here in week 4 for Bus, a few of his late wins, I think, going to be tallying into this week 4. But this is a player that I think could make a push realistically for one of those final playoff spots if things continue to go his way and he plays games against, you know, his more even competition and gets those wins. Watch out for Bus as things mature here in AAA. We'll move on to 19, 20, and 20 once again here. We've got Adam Lynch and the Hartford Sheets, Albert and the Palm Beach Pirates, and Diesel and the Hikers.
Yeah, the Hikers have fallen on tough times, to be brutally honest. The Hikers were playing really good ball coming into this season. The Hikers were a little bit put off by the preseason rankings that I had them down kind of in the lower portion, and I love to see that. But despite a fairly decent start, have kind of fallen on hard times, and we know how good the Hikers are. So I think the Hikers are going to eventually find their stride. You just hope it's not too late. Aubrat played you 2 really tough games. Can really pitch. Has had a little bit of... Hasn't really been putting up the runs that you want to see. You know, a little over 3 is not quite good enough right now, but a very talented player that I can see moving up. I mean, again, this is a first-year player. And then Adam Lynch with his Sheets basically destroyed me in our one game over the weekend and appears to be on the upswing. So this is a player that had a really strong strength of schedule and a lot of losses early. Perhaps was written off by some people, but from what I saw, I think this is at least a mid-level AAA player.
Could be interesting to see more from Adam. Definitely getting rolling here, I think, after a brief vacation, coming back with that big win versus you. Scoring the factor for all 3 of these players. They've all been the culprit of close games, I think, throughout this early season. We'll see some more from them going forward, and you know that you're going to want to see them on the better side of it if they want to be in that playoff hunt. So yeah, really good points there you've made on these 3. As we move on up to 16, 17, and 18, it is Alec and the Greats taking a 1-spot dip, followed by the Plum Island Pirates and Mr. Rise and Fall. And Tezzy Do It All had a quiet week, didn't play any games.
Yeah, Tezzy popped in the other day looking for some scrims. I think most likely wanted to play a few, but it was just one of those dead times. You know how that goes. Obviously, the heavy hitters underachieving here. Will be interesting. It hasn't played a lot of games, so it'll be interesting to see. Tezzy was playing really good not that long ago, so we'll see what happens there. That's a little bit of an incomplete score. Plum Island, again, Plum Island is just kind of a pick 'em. You don't know what Plum Island's going to do. I mean, I ran all over Plum Island, and I couldn't believe it. And then Plum Island pulled off, I think, a couple wins this week. Beat the Hikers. beat the greats, which ran all over me. So, this is still the AAA thing where it doesn't matter what you did 2 minutes ago. And then the greats didn't have the greatest week, lost to the Porgs. There's no real shame in that, and then split with the Plum Island Pirates. So not a bad week for Alec, who I think is on an upswing. I still think that.
Yeah, you see, if you could see Alec continue to get the ball rolling, he's going to be a very dangerous player. The type of skills that he's had and shown in the past, especially being an XBL caliber player in his past, you'd have to think if he gets up to speed on 85 in any way, shape, or form, he'll be, sneaking wins off of each and every player as he moves forward. So really interesting group here that we have. These are 3 players that will get wins as we get down the stretch. So to see them in this spot, definitely surprising right now. Let's check out 13, 14, and a tie at 14. We have Eduardo, and that followed by B. Hagen and the Megafauna, and Spliff Star and Patty's Pub, all players looking to be on the better side of 500. B. Hagen, the only one who actually is on that better side of 500 right now, maybe suffering a little bit from games played, but definitely on an uptick. He did not get swept this week.
Yeah, Patty's Pub is always going to give you a game. A little bit like Sonko, it's just brutal. If you get 4 runs, even 3, you kind of got to win that game against Patty's Pub. The Megafauna brutally underrated here. Somebody needs to check the math on that one. And then Eddie, again, he kind of had a hot start, fell on hard times. Didn't have the greatest week. He did beat me. But didn't do much outside of that. But Eddie can beat anybody. It's and he shut me out. So that's the whole thing with Eddie is when he gets rolling with the pitching, it gets really tough. When he doesn't, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, and he looks like to have broken a little bit outside of his exact 500-ness that he had last week. He's kind of pushing things in one direction or the other. Maybe he wants to kind of push it more on the offensive end, though, instead of the defensive end. Will be exciting to see more from the 3 players here, as some people in the chat are saying Spliff Star pitching at an amazing rate, especially for a rookie. Look at the 222 strikeouts already. Amazing how many he's getting through 30 games. So really excited to see more. Excited to see how the award races line up, and that's something we can start to probably spitball in next week's roundup as far as early playoff pictures and awards. So looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
10, 11, and 12 here in the AAA. It's Rick's Mystery Man himself, and then Heisman taking a little bit of a dip. He had a quiet week. That's probably the only reason he suffered, because he's been stealing wins off of everybody. I think just recently jumping back into action tonight. But yeah, really good looking group here.
Yeah. Heisman can really play ball. He squeaked by Bus a couple games today that I think are factoring into that win-loss, which is good for him. Could potentially lose a couple of wins if FTZ doesn't show up pretty soon. But even if that happens, I think Heisman would still be strong enough to potentially get into the playoffs and make some noise. Myself, really happy where I'm at. Took a game off of One Boy late after basically getting annihilated in game 1. So that was a really, that was kind of found money there. And then I don't know how I was able to split with Mers. I've actually only been swept one time, despite that many games played.
Yeah, that's nothing to shake a stick at in this group in the AAA. Picking up your splits keeps you in that conversation to be at 500 and then above it if you can get your victories. So really good stuff from you there, Mystery Man. Good stuff from Ricks as well. Staying well above 500. A really big comeback season for Ricks, and yeah, this is where things get exciting as we slide up the board. I mean, anybody can beat anybody in this AAA, and having conversations about all of these players really can highlight some interesting trends, and just I think we're seeing every type of player here in this AAA this season too. That makes it that much more enthralling to kind of follow, and really gives that opportunity for the parity that we're seeing as we slide up to a tie at 6, and then 8 and 9, it's the Joplin Miners, Miami Knights, and Fireball Max, and then the Porgs getting a nice jump. You know, Natron, he can hit with the best of them, batting almost 400 in this AAA.
Yeah, I think even going all the way down to Rick's at 10, if you look at the top 10, so these 3 plus Rick's plus whoever we see next, the Porgs can really, all these players could actually win the championship. The Jops, no doubt. Miami, no doubt. The Porgs can really hit, and I think are working on that pitching a little bit. So, yeah, Miami Knights had some good wins this week. I'm not sure about the Jobs. So they kind of didn't have the best week, but did sweep Miami, the one right below them. So yeah, the Miners have had a pretty strong season, and definitely really on both sides of the ball have looked good.
Yeah, the Miners suffering from, I believe, 2 one-run losses against Black Coffee earlier in the, very, very early in the week, and those are one of the games I think we'll highlight later on, because that was an insane series between those two. But yeah, at 11 and 8 right now, not where he exactly wants to be, but definitely can take things to the next level as he gets deeper into the schedule, into more games. A lot of the players can say that too as we move into this, if they're only in that 20 game range. Once they start touching 30 games, 40 games, and almost 50 in this AAA, it's going to be really spicy. Remember how many games there are to play yet still. We're in a young season.
Yes, and welcome to the raid party. Good to see you here.
Okay, Arios with the raid. Thank you very much. That is awesome. We'll slide on up the board now to 4, 5, and 6. We got the Base Bandits and No Name sliding down from number 2, also receiving a loss penalty for some roster infractions this week, followed by That One Boy and the Bombers taking a sweep this week. To myself is the only result, staying at number 5, and then myself at number 6, tied there with Finite, packed in the games early, taking a sweep there against Coffee in an exciting series, and a few splits involved as well.
Yeah, going up the board, Motor Sox looking fantastic. I think better than last week. I think the Moto's really looking good. Nobody really wants to play the Motos. They know, the offense, clearly the home run leader. One Boy did play me on Sunday, so that's not factored in there. That was a split, but one Boy probably is the strongest offensive player even now in this league. But the pitching has been at times a little bit suspect. I thought he pitched pretty well against me, but kind of fell apart at the end. And then the Base Bandits are always that brutal, running, clever team that you kind of fear playing, just because you could basically lose a game for essentially no reason whatsoever other than cleverness, and so it's tough. But I think the Base Bandits are still haven't really played as well lately, but I think the Base Bandits could still be a threat to win the championship.
Yeah, you'd have to think in this top 10 overall, like you already said, every single player a threat to be involved in the championship conversation. And yeah, especially when you can get as crafty as No Name, keep games as close as you can, put yourself in, again, conversations like Von Asen level conversations. That's when, it gets to be very, very dangerous, and you have really good chances to have success. So looking forward to more on this group, and we'll see who we have next at ranks 1, 2, and 3. This is Mush and the Champs, Black Coffee and the Bluegrass Banjos, and Mers and his Swordfish taking a 1-spot slide up this week back into the top 3. So 1 and 2 holding strong.
Yeah, I had Mers at 3. I think we still have to respect the pitching of Mers, and I played Mers recently. I remember whining for 9 innings about there being nothing whatsoever to swing at. And that was even in the game that I won 3-2, eking out a run here and a run there. So yeah, Merzadrone, certainly a really high quality player. I had the Banjos number 1, mostly due to Mush's strength of schedule. and I think the Banjos are red hot right now. Have pulled off um, some tight victories. Have pulled out some blowouts. Just seem to really be easing into the season. I mean, there's not a big separation, obviously, in the top 10 or 15, but Banjo's looking good, and then Mush. He has he has the receipts, so Mush is number one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these two players at 1 and 2, especially, I think you can really call them interchangeable at this time. Just some difference maybe in the pitching numbers that also sets Mush apart a little bit, but it's really splitting hairs when it comes down to the top here in this group. So, as we talk about next week, like we already stated a little bit before, the playoff picture is going to start coming into effect, coming into conversation, and these are the type of players you do not want to meet. This top of the AAA is insane this season. We got another league to go through in rankings. We're not done yet, and we're going to start off now at the bottom of our XBL. Government and the Pandas not really a part of the conversation. Chronic Lies also not really playing any games this week, not making themselves much of any conversation at all. And then we've got Dark Raider tied for 18th this week, not at 19th, so he's creeping up the board. He picked up another dub, officially 2 this week.
Yeah, Panda's probably done. We're always kind of waiting to see if the internet stuff would improve. We really hope to see Chronic come back in here. Such a historically significant player. Did have a rough start, but we hope to see the Femme Fatales, kind of a team that everybody loves, come back in here and play their games. And then Montreal, Montreal being Montreal. Nobody cares about the record of Montreal. Montreal is going to beat you. So had that game against Ox, Ox's biggest concern this entire season has been that Raider's going to beat him and split him, and sure enough, that's what Raider did, because that's what Raider does. So credit to Montreal, stacking up a couple of wins.
Yeah, it's good to get on the upswing, especially, as the season gets pretty towards the middle portion, maybe later portion here in the XBL, and it's in our shortest league, I believe, as far as players go. So excited to see more from Raider as he hopefully gets more of that offense going, continues to score some runs. It looks like he's really kind of been pushing it this past couple of weeks. So we're at 16, 17, and 18, we have the Mountainheads and Webbs, Latanimal, and the Harambinos, and Blows the Save and the Stabbing Crabs. No games from the Stabbing Crabs this week.
Yeah, so Crabs did pop into the general, very interested in playing the rest of their games, and we'd love to see that because an extremely talented player. 93 might be pushing it right now, but won AAA last season, and we would love to see the Crabs come back into the community and get going here. I still think a dangerous player, despite not the best start. Rambinos have hung tough in a lot of games, so some good pitching from Zlat. Has not hit up to expectations, and that's been the fly in the ointment, unfortunately, but certainly a very talented player. And then Webb also has kind of underachieved, known as a pretty good power hitter, and hasn't quite pulled off the wins that we expected, but still has time to get those classic melon heads going.
Yeah, Webb suffering some pretty close games, some pretty close losses. So, yeah, he's going to be looking to get the bats going in that classic fashion that we know. As you stated, he's known to be probably in the top 5-ish conversation for home runs every single season. So to see him only with 6 so far through 8 games it's kind of alarming. So we'll see if Webb can get on that upswing. These other 2 players behind him really needing to get on the offensive spectrum to see their seasons not end in absolute disaster. So really interesting to see everybody here. We'll move on up to 13. Ooh, tie at 13. Lucky number 13 for Boops and Flash, the 2 golfing buddies, followed by Palmav and the Kestals taking a dip to number 15.
Yeah, definitely. Palmav is just a brutal pitcher. Can really be tough, can pull off a win against literally anybody just because of the pitching. I think the ERA is actually, or the runs allowed is almost a little bit deceiving, and has pulled off some good wins. And then Boops and Flash, really talented veteran players. And Flash swept Ox, which is a really big sweep of a 500-ish XBL level player. You don't want to see Flash later on, especially with good internet. And then the Colts had a really good start and have kind of fallen on tough times, but have put together some wins recently. And Colts are another one of those teams that can suddenly shut somebody really big down. So the Colts are still dangerous.
Yeah, a lot of danger here in all three of these players. I think Boops and Palmav have proven that so far this season. Flash still a little bit yet to prove on that end, but he's gone for a very, very tough strength of schedule as well. Same for Palmav. He's gone for the big dogs, and he's kept a lot of these games close. So nothing to be ashamed of from any of these three players. Jake Hoops gonna keep it close, and like you said, gonna play some big players in surprising fashions and get those wins. He did it early this season. We'll see if the late season can be kind to him as well, as we move on up to 10, 11, and 12. Lucky number 10 for Wishbone here, followed by One-Eyed Seaman taking a one-spot jump, and Ox also taking a jump this week. He had a very busy week.
Ox has kind of been like the Mist, a really streaky player for totally different reasons, but you don't really know what you have with the Goblin Grams until you get in there and start the game. But has done pretty well for himself. I mean, this is an extremely brutal field, and has definitely held his own, which is nice to see. Seaman can really hit. I'm looking at the runs scored, and I think that's a little bit deceiving. I think Seaman can really hit the ball, and even though it doesn't look like it on paper, I think his hitting is actually better than his pitching. So I'm really interested to see what Seaman can do the rest of this season. Has done well so far. And then, Wishbone, really good pitcher, tough fastball hitter, is hovering, I believe, around 500, but hasn't played a lot of games. And ever since he moved to PC, I mean, this is a scary player, a really scary player.
Yeah, all three of these guys here put fear into your heart, especially in a game where you might be down 1 or 2 runs against them, and looking for, trying to creep your way back into the game, and then they get those runners on base, and all of a sudden they blast another grand slam over the fence. I mean, I think all three of these players have the potential to set the table for themselves and really shock you. Seaman, as of late, really showing that, I think, in some recent results coming into this week 4. So look forward to him next week being a bigger part of the conversation. As we move on up now to 6, 8, and 9. Weaver tied for number 6, dropping out of the top 5 here, followed by Ted at number 8 and Pizza Volcano swapping spots at number 9.
Yeah, Pizza Volcano, not very active there. Did pull off a couple of wins. Obviously, Pizza was a runner-up last season, so every reason to believe in Moon Kingdom, but needs to get more games in and find the rhythm. I love Ted's game right now. Ted really looks good. I mean, he can hit the ball, even against really tough pitching. It's not just waiting for meatballs. So the Dragoons are really rough. Weaver hasn't had the best season considering the pedigree. Let's be honest. But this is a player that's used to playing on really high egos and basically like the top PR player in the world for recently. So, nobody's worried about the Beavers.
Yeah, uncharacteristic of him recently, to be this low in the rankings. But yeah, that's something you'd expect to turn around, especially as the pitching continues to guide the staff, as we know it will for the Beavers. Really exciting stuff, as you stated, from Ted as of late. He's started to get on that upswing, had a tough start to his season. But I think a few clutch victories made it happen for him. And then when Pizza Volcano gets into things, gets warmed up, starts playing a lot of games, that's when you really have to watch out. You want to catch Pizza on the off day. So if they come back ready to go and get a few series under their belt, that's when they're going to jump into that, probably top 5 conversation, let alone top 10. Move on up now to 4, 5, and 6. Again, we have the tie at number 6. The Fuegos tied over there with Beaver, moving up from number 7 this week. We've got Floribel at number 4 and Mama June at number 5, making no movement.
Yeah, Fuego's basically the no-name of the XBL. This is the player that it's just, so much flair, so much trickery, but actually can hit. Played the Fuegos, and I mean, this is not like a bad batter or anything, but will definitely hoodwink you into a few runs per game usually. So the Fuegos doing really well. I mean, top 6 is incredible in this league. Mama June is that young guy that you don't want to play, and sure enough, Mama June tends to be the one knocking down the Giants. And then, of course, Floribel you could almost just rank them number 1. I mean, this is now becoming. These are people you never want to play.
Yeah, these are the toughest players really in the XBL as you get into this top 5 conversation. And as you stated, Mama June taking wins off the big dogs, sniping one off of Mike this week, getting Mike his first loss. Really, really exciting for him as he's had a quiet week, but to get a victory like that, that's something to really hang your hat on. And then, as you stated about both Floribel and Fuegos, they're always going to be dangerous, always going to be finding ways to win. And you don't want to play either of those players down the stretch, especially in a 5-game series for very, very different reasons. But there's nobody here that I would want to meet in any extended period of time, because that would probably spell the end of my season. So at 4, 5, and 6, you'd have to say what's in the 1, 2, 3 conversation. Well, it's the same old suspects, maybe a little bit of shuffling here as Mike takes the number 1 spot in the XBL power rankings this week, followed up by Luke Archer and Lazy holding steady at number 3.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of becoming a recurring theme. It's always laughable to have Lazy at number 3. Lazy historically has never ever ranked lower than really 1, but 2 certainly in power rankings. Has played really well. So this is almost like fool's gold. Lazy has taken a few losses, but I don't think that's really going to register with Las Vegas when it comes to setting odds for the playoffs. The Mallards are I had them ranked number 1 going in. The Mallards really playing good ball, have taken a couple losses, but the Mallards perennially either in the finals or maybe the semifinals. And then I think this is the right ranking right now. Cooch playing out of his mind. The new game is not the last game, and perhaps a few things play to his favor. That's up for debate, but has just played fantastic ball and deserves to be number 1.
Yeah, great pitching too, really guiding the way for Mike so far. He's only given up 4 home runs, 2.4 runs allowed per 9. Big juxtaposition next to his fellow players in the form of Luke and Lazy there. Picking up that sweep over Lazy, that's huge, to put him at this number 1 spot this week. So big shout out to the Knaves, making a major improvement in their game. We'll see if he can keep it going here through the XBL season as it matures, because number 2 and 3 and all those behind them really hungry to stay in that hunt, stay in that race, make this exciting. So yeah, that'll do it. 3 leagues of power rankings always takes us a little while to get through, but always exciting to touch on everybody and see where we're all at. Now this week, we have some Oxbox scores to go over for you. Starting off in our double A, we want to highlight Joey making a turnaround off the Schneid. What do you got about that, mystery man?
Yeah, this was kind of the battle of the last place double A. And Joey was able to get win the first game there pretty handily. Punt did strike back there, so you got to give Punt credit. So both of these players getting off the schneid in the same series, which was the only two remaining that didn't have a win. And then the Bunnies took that confidence into their next match and were able to beat Bald Baseball Dad, eventually splitting that series. But regardless, it's really nice to see all of the AA players at least on the board with a win.
Yeah, really, really exciting for everybody down there to continue to just improve. I mean, that's what AA is really all about in the end. Just getting in some games under your belt and improving, and maybe continuing to get better, jump into the higher leagues, or just own at AA and get games under your belt and continue to accumulate stats forever and be the best AA player of all time. I mean, why not? That's also extremely fun. I'm proud of having some of the most counting stats in XBL history. It doesn't matter that I've lost more games than every single one of you could ever try to. We're not going to talk about that. We're just going to be proud of all the really, really high other stats that we'll talk about some other time. We're going to go to AAA here. We've got myself versus Black Coffee here as the highlight of the week in box scores. I mean, this was an insane game. I came up with the winning run in the top of the ninth just to lose it there, or no, tie it up in the top of the ninth, just to lose it there to Coffee in the bottom half. That was an amazing back and forth game.
Yeah, these are the two wall bangers of the AAA. Now, I think people like Natron, possibly myself, can maybe somewhat compete, but from a power standpoint, this is the apex here, is the Banjos against the Motor Sox. And sure enough, in this game, 2 home runs apiece, which is a high average. And it's just a brutal fight all the way into the bottom of the 9th inning. And Black Coffee, the calm one, the unemotional one, who just continues to grind. So despite giving up 2 runs in the top of the 9th, able to put that game away. And that's a big win for the Banjos.
Yeah, big victory for the Banjos, as you already stated, continuing to be on the upswing and really stake their claim as possibly the #1 team going into the playoffs in this AAA season. Huge for these players. We'll move on now to the XBL highlights here, both of which featuring Mike. One, on the other hand, a losing effort. This is the highlight we talked about a little bit before. Mama Junjun getting Mike for his first loss of the season. 6-2 victory. Huge for Mama, sniping the Giant. And Mike taking that L, but that was off the back of his sweep against Lazy. You see the 13-9 victory there highlighted. Huge moment for the Knaves, really solidifying his spot at #1 this week.
Yeah, Mike snuck past Lazy. I think it might have been 4-3 in the first game. I could be wrong. I think it was a one-run game.
It was.
But so this game, you look at 13-9 here, and at first you say, "Oh, okay, he sort of handled him." That wasn't the case at all. If you look closely there, you see 5 unanswered runs from Lazy, starting around the 6th inning. And we know what Lazy does when he starts just creeping back in there. And the only reason Mike won this game, and I'm sure he would be more than happy to admit this, was something we'll see a little bit later in the cast. But this was basically down to the nitty gritty, and credit to Mike for pulling off the Lazy sweep. Not a lot of people, I can hardly think of any that can say that. And then Mama Junjun being Mama Junjun, split with the Knaves. The first game was actually a very close game, and we'll see a little bit more about that one later in the cast, the other game. But this game, Mama Junjun able to, I mean, this dude is undefeated, and you come up with a 6-2 victory.
Yeah, super. Like you already stated, that's insane to come up against the undefeated player and to get the 6-2 victory. And he's the Giant Slayer. With both these players slaying Giants this week. Big highlights in our XBL box scores of the week. We'll move on now to our plays of the week, the exciting portion of the night where we do some highlights, some digging through our highlight reel. This is a play here upcoming after this A couple pitches from my last stream versus Finite Provision, a close game, 3-2 in the AAA, ended that way. But at the time, a huge home run robbery from Chucky out there in center field kept it close and possibly, kept me in this game.
Yeah, I remember seeing this live, and that ball looked like it was gone off the bat. It's absolutely tattooed. It is on a line, and I think that's the only thing that saved your buns there. But fantastic. I mean, you had to really hustle to the wall. On some of the plays, you can get to the wall pretty easily. It's just a matter of timing it. This is just a freaking bullet.
Yeah, really, really tough play to make. I mean, it's all about timing there. We'll move on now to the number 4 play of the week. This was one highlighted by Mystery Man as a interesting diddle by Pseudo here against Lazy, just making it happen, scoring the run and then getting the runner over here to second base. And this is one where I think the game ended up very, very close in the end. Pseudo, unfortunately, unable to come away with the victory.
Yeah, so Pseudo is exactly the type of player where you do these kinds of things. It's really not well played by Lazy at all. But if this was against anybody else, practically, probably would have made a better play. But you're already on edge when it comes to bait. I know I do this against Ox all the time, where you make stupid mistakes because it's just you always think they're going to outthink you, and then you start doing exactly that.
Yeah, this is some classic creativity from Pseudo here to get the run, especially against a top player. He's going to get him any way he can. So really good highlight here from Mystery Man. We'll move on now to play number 3. This is Mike making it happen here against Mama Junjun in a game where he won 6-2. On the flip side, makes an amazing catch here, stops Mama from getting within 1 run. Sorry, we're having some playback issues on this clip. See if we get it running clean here for you. Makes the play out here at Big Center field, or Big Sky center field. Really good with Darple.
Yeah, so this ended up being I think it ended up being a 4-run game, but I could be mistaken. But this would have been 3 runs for Mama Junjun right there. So this play really won Mike the game, to be honest.
Yeah, big game-winning catch. It's a mid-game catch, but that would, that's the turning point. That's one where the win probability can go up or down in a very big direction. So, you want to have that solid center fielder out there, and he gets it done. And we're going to show it once again in this next highlight. This is the number 2 play of the week, and this is in that 13-9 victory. This is the one where all could have gone wrong in the beginning of the 9th inning for Mike versus Lazy, but he makes an amazing catch in left center field.
Yeah, so this is Lazy creeping back. Has already scored 5 unanswered runs. And then smokes a ball in the center field. There's a runner on. Everything's coming apart, and then comes up with an unbelievable play and puts the fire out.
Yeah, huge play. I mean, that's something that you're never gonna forget, especially if you're thinking back to your proudest XBL regular season wins. Sweeping Lazy is gonna be up there in the memory books. That's a play that's got to stand out forever. You'd have to think. It reminds me of Jermaine Dye in the perfect game versus for Mark Burley back in the day, if any of you remember that. So shout out to Jermaine Dye and Mark Burley. Move on now.
No outs going into that. That's the thing, is there's no outs when he makes that play and just kind of kills the mo.
Yeah, definitely deflating there for Lazy. Could have been a lot more. Could have been the beginning of a huge rally. We're going to go to our number 1 play of the week. This is one of our combo sets, and this is one with a familiar suspect. I think we couldn't have sold him short if we had any way around it. So we're going to go ahead and honor Magnetic Compass with 2 amazing catches again this week in 1 set versus myself. This one out here in left center field at Whacker's Wheel in the 9th inning.
Yeah, this is classic Magnetic Compass. I mean, Diesel, if Diesel is known for one thing, more than anything, it's Magnetic Compass coming up with these insane plays in center field season after season. I think every season since I've been in the league, which was season 10, there's been some crazy Magnetic Compass play in center field to either steal a game or basically just so insane that it doesn't even seem like it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's always like 3, 4, 5 of these get submitted every single season. The first few that come in are always the highlight, and always make the reel for sure. Magnetic Compass getting it done. I believe I got swept in this, or did I split? I almost want to forget. But these were some insane tight games with Diesel. He is always had it locked down in center field with Magnetic Compass. So congratulations to him for making a couple really nice plays for us to highlight here. And remember, everybody, to get your highlights submitted to XBL Highlight Reel so we can go through them throughout the week, get them all ranked out and ready to go, and get the best possible clips on here for y'all to go over. So yeah, really exciting roundup here tonight, Mystery Man. That'll probably do it here for us. No more content for this Tuesday evening. So you have anything before we part ways?
No, I'm just excited about the league and about the way things have gone. Everybody's competitive. Everybody's excited. And then we have, even some of the players that haven't gotten games in, we have a pretty good confidence that they're going to do that. So, I think there's certainly a case to be made that this is the greatest season ever. Even double. I mean, you could start on all 3 leagues. It's pretty stacked. And I think when the playoffs roll in here, this is going to only get crazier.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, the most games played for sure across all 3 leagues are going to be coming through this season. So yeah, this is the biggest, greatest season of all time. First season on Super Mega Baseball 4, and we're only going to make it better from here. I mean, this is only going to get more exciting. Like we said, next week's roundup probably has some more flair, some more excitement to add into it as we develop into the playoff picture here. So look forward to that. Look forward to our matches of the week this weekend, as we'll be back on the channel after a brief break last week. So yeah, stay tuned on Discord. If you're not already in there, please grab an invite from our about or in the chat, and we'll see you on the flip side. Everybody have a safe and pleasant evening.
All right, thanks, folks.